Welcome, everyone. This is TaxSellSupport.com. You're here with Stephen and Shade, and we're actually doing a practice session. We've never gone live before, so this should be going out to all of our social media platforms. And we want to test it out because we've got a big podcast happening tomorrow, a 3-hour podcast. So we want to try and see and make sure everything looks good for tomorrow.
All right, this is the trial run here just to make sure that we know and we don't have any problems with Zoom and that everything kind of works efficiently. And so, but there's also a lot of auctions that are happening. There's lots of stuff that we can look at that auctions that are worth taking note of if you don't know about them. They're worth learning about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of what we want to do is we want to test it out. We're going to check out a couple of auctions, and we want to talk about online auctions today because this is really where a majority of the property are getting sold. Now, there's still a lot of states that are doing on-site auction, but for most of us, we're investing outside of our own state. At least a lot of us are. And so because of that, online auctions give us the ability to go out to a lot different, be able to bid in a lot more areas than if it was just on-site auctions like me and Shade first got started.
Yeah, well, it allows you to be much more effective. You can participate in several different auctions if they're online, whereas if you were to just have to participate in the ones on site, you're very limited in how many you can really participate in, per week, with how much you can travel. And so, yeah, online auctions have made it much easier for investors to live out of the area, out of state, to be able to find, in this list, find the information about the properties, be able to participate in the auction. You can perform all the due diligence necessary without being there, anymore. You can do most everything now online, which is pretty well what we do. We try to do as much online as we can to learn about the property, before we spend any kind of money on it.
Yeah, well, for most of us, almost all of our research is done online. All of our bidding is done online. Even in over-the-counter situations, you may need to mail something in, but all of that research will still be done online. And so, what we want to do is we want to look at a couple of auctions. We're going here to our auction calendar where we have all of the different auctions that are taking place. You can click on any of these. And so, we're going to go to this Michigan sale right here. And this is an auction that's taking place on the 18th. So what is that? Just a couple of days from now.
Yeah, in fact, Michigan started their sales about a week ago, week and a half ago, and they've been holding auctions, several auctions a week now. And it's been interesting to kind of watch, check the results here of different sales as they happen. But they've got sales scheduled for at least another month or more.
Yeah, well, and you can kind of get an idea. One thing that me and Shade love about Michigan is all of the information they provide. So you can see here's 10 acres starting at $1,200. I was actually looking at this one a little bit earlier, Shade, because it looks like something straight from the 1960s.
Yeah, it looks like its color shows up nicely.
Yeah, but what was kind of funny is when you look at the interior, but it's right there on the lake. I mean, it really is a cool location. But look at that kitchen.
Oh wow, yeah, it's like a time machine. It's like a time capsule.
Yeah, in fact, looking at it now, I think it has been repainted. Even that stove, I wonder if that's an old stove or not. But it really is pretty clean inside it. And this is one of the big advantages is to an area like this is that we can get a lot more detail, which means in some homes we're willing to pay more than are usually 35% or below. The more information we have, the more value the home has, the more we're willing to pay for these properties because the profit margin is going to be good because we're not going to have to put as much money into rehab, especially serious type rehab.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of what the percentages you end up paying, you can learn more about the properties here, before you buy, so that you know what kind of property you're getting involved with. For example, we're looking at this property, and this property is incredibly clean, and it's been well cared for. I mean, it looks like it's been lived in up until fairly recently, but you can tell that everything there has been well cared for, and yeah, the place does, it does show very well, and so it's a property that wouldn't take much, to make it or to continue to use it. It looks like it's usable right now. It's just a matter of kind of what you want to do, but you can see signs of it there. There we have the AC unit there outside. It looked like the some kind of a tile roofing. It looked like maybe on it.
Yeah, well, it's got gas and, all the utilities. And we saw a bunch of personal items in
Oh,
there.
it's a metal roof. That's what it is.
Yeah, and with these personal items, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to send out a certified letter. We're going to need to try to make sure that we can contact them and give them a period of time to be able to remove that. So usually that'd be anywhere from 14 days to maybe 45 or 60 days in some states. But you can see some things of value. I think I saw a big,
Does it have its own well? Is that what
uh,
that was? Or is it hooked up to, it's a pump.
uh, yeah, I mean, it could be. And probably look a little bit more into it. Maybe it, makes sure that if there's any water drainage, it drains it out. I'm not sure. The notes might say something a little bit more about it. But if they don't get out the personal material, their personal items, you know, after notifying, then you can do what you want with them. So that maybe selling them in an estate sale, donating them, whatever it is you decide to do with it. But they also give us a lot of additional information about it. Uh, the interior is spotless,
Yeah.
meticulously maintained.
Well, so one of the things that's nice about Michigan is that they send a representative out to every property. They part of state law is that they have to put a sign up, in front of the property there, kind of notifying the owner, notifying anybody around there that property is going into a tax sale. And in addition to that, they also take photos of all of it, and then that same person that's going there to walk the properties also writes, a summary of everything they find about the property, and they're really pretty good summaries. I mean, they catch most of the things that you may or may not be worried about. They will warn you of things if there's problems. I mean, really pretty good write-ups in general, and you get a wide variety of property types. You have properties that are nice homes that you can get, in Michigan for a fair percentage of value. There's big chunks of land. There are fixer-upper properties. I mean, there's properties, there's opportunities to flip properties out there. We see all kinds of properties when they hold these auctions every year.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, and there's all different types from land, large pieces of land, building lots, homes that probably need to be, torn down and other homes that are in great shape, and all different types of properties in between. And one thing that's nice is knowing additional information. I mean, look at that home right there. Me and Shade have gone out to homes that look about like that, and we got on-site photos because the online photo, the Google Street View or whatever, looked like it was pretty good. And we went out there and looked at it, and we saw that there was some serious damage like this. And then you'd see people bidding on it, knowing that they only did the online evaluation. So it's something we harp on all the time, but it's just because we don't want people to go out there and bid on a property like that, even if we don't know them, and essentially lose a lot of money that they probably don't have for some people that they probably don't have that money to lose.
Yeah, well, and not all counties are forthright with that kind of information. There are lots of counties out there where if they have properties like that, their their stance on it is if somebody makes the mistake of buying that property or believes that it's in good shape or something, that's kind of their fault. They say, "Oh, buyer beware," and they really don't go out of their way to help people with anything at all. And so anybody that makes that kind of a mistake is really in a lot of trouble. We've seen crazy cases there. We saw a case with somebody that bought a property they thought was going to be usable property and paid almost $500,000 for it, only to turn out that they couldn't use it for anything. And so it happens. It would be a nightmare scenario, but it's so much better just to have the correct information that you need. And that's something that Michigan sales kind of do for you, is they provide you with all the relevant information to be able to make decisions like that. And then they have online auctions to make it pretty easy to participate in the auction as well. And so they've always done a pretty good job of making it an easy state to participate in auctions in and to buy real estate in.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. This house, we get questions all the time. Well, what about the meth house? And, really me and Shade haven't seen any or, walked into one in any of the properties that we've had our students that have, that is a meth house. But this one here, it seems to be some type of grow house, and I was kind of looking at it before I even read on it. So, we haven't seen any meth houses, but we have seen houses like this, that were essentially used for production, probably illegal.
Do they still have stuff hanging there?
Yeah, all
They
kinds of
still have,
stuff.
they still have all the plants there. That's crazy. They didn't even take the plants out.
No, and I don't know if it's legal to grow there with a certain amount, or if this was just completely illegal. And I don't know what you need to do with if we were to buy this house, we would go ahead and contact the local police and figure out what to do so that it doesn't turn into a legal issue. But other than that, this would be a house that you could really go in, rehab it, clean it up, and make it a good livable property because, you know, yes, it's dirty, but it's solid.
Yeah, it has a lot of things going for it. I mean, at the time that it was built as a custom home. So it has things there. I mean, you can see it had hardwood uh, finish on it, and nice wood doors and things like that. Where it looks pretty good on it. But again, it's being able to see the inside of it because we can tell in Michigan we know if a house is trashed, if it's in good condition, pretty much on the inside. We know if there's foundation issues. I mean, we pretty well know about every. We don't even have to worry about necessarily additional liens or something outside of that, being attached to the property. And in fact, yeah, it's stuff like this. We can see all these images here of the property gives a pretty good idea and tell us that that's probably a fairly usable cabin property.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, overall it looks pretty clean. There's things that need to be done with it, but you could see how finishing it up, it almost looks in some cases where they were in the middle of a rehab or doing something and never quite finished it. So you'd go in there and add sheetrock and finish it up and, really could increase the value in it because there's a lot of nice amenities, got a little pond deck. It almost looked like it might have had a a like maybe a cabin next to it. I can't tell what this is. If it
Oh,
maybe
it's
that's the
that garage.
garage,
Yeah, but it looks like a double garage.
but is that the same one as the garage? Because that looks like a different shape to me. Let me see. Yeah, that is a different shape. So it's also got whatever this is. I don't
Huh.
know if it's an extra little cabin, or something like that.
Yeah, that's an interesting property.
Yeah, excuse me. But there's also, other different types of auctions. We see all kinds of properties come up for sale, and some
Yeah,
of, you know,
yeah, both those commercial ones are kind of interesting. That one's a big commercial on 13 acres, and there are giant buildings in some of these places out there in Michigan. What they have agriculturally, they have giant facilities like this. They're set up for drying or some aspect of the grow process. Yeah, look at all those.
yeah.
Are those power units, you think?
I don't know if they're units or if they're big. I have no clue.
Some kind of air conditioning system or
That's
something?
what I was kind of wondering, your filter system, but
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a full office, so you're going to have a lot of air conditioning and stuff there.
yeah, and they've got garage spaces,
Yeah,
a
it's
bunch of
big.
rack systems.
Yeah, it looks like a.
And in some of these areas, it's a pretty big business.
Yeah, that's huge.
And you can see that there's also all of this other area. I mean, you've got a massive lot here.
It looks like maybe they were clearing it to build additional buildings.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
But look at that. The SEV on it is 844,000. So they're basically saying that the assessed value on the property is about 1.6, 1.7 million.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I'm sure it's over. I mean, to replace a building like that I don't even know what it'd be. 500,000 could be $1 million, maybe twice that much. I mean, I'm not sure. When you look at big construction like that, that's that size, 12,000 square feet.
Yeah, that's a lot of space to do stuff with. I mean, that's a ton of building space
Yeah,
or drying space or doing anything. I mean, that is just a lot of square footage.
I shouldn't have. Should have double clicked it.
Yeah, this shouldn't be too bad here for tomorrow for the podcast. This should work fine.
Yeah. So I think we're going to test this out. We appreciate all of you guys. And if you watch this video, go down into the description and we'll go ahead and include a link for tomorrow's podcast live.
Yeah, yeah, we hope to see you there.
Yep. Thanks again, everyone.
Yeah, we'll see you then.